I will make a brief presentation about Lisa. She's a senior lecturer and researcher at Department of Communication Theories and Analysis from Complutense University of Madrid. She's specialized in sustainability, human rights, communication, migration, and recently twin transition. With more than 25 years of experience in international and national research and innovation initiatives, several of them funded by European Union. She's currently participated in several European projects. So, thank you. And you can begin, Liz.
Okay.
Liz.
Thank you very much, Carla. Thank you very much, Rebecca, and all of the participants. Thank you for joining, even if it's July and the summer holidays are closed. So thank you for joining the workshop. I'm really happy to be here with you. We will have around 1 hour. So we will have 3 parts during this session. First, we are going to talk about how to build an effective partnership, some rules and some tips and hints from my personal experience in European projects. Then I will walk you through the basic concepts of partnership and how a European project works, grosso modo, very basic rules. And then at the end, we will talk a little bit about leadership style. So what kind of leadership style would work best in a European project? And of course, at the end of the session, you will have a chance to make all the questions you want to make. You will have my contact, so you can contact me by email if you have any further questions. And you will also have a copy of the slides. So that would be it. So first of all, how to build an effective partnership? Because when you start with a project proposal, the first question is, who am I going to do it with? And who can I trust? And who will really work properly and be responsible in a project application? Some of the rules I'm going to tell you are poor logic. They have to do with human relations, but some of them are regulations of the European Commission. So we will talk about, basically, here you can see the Horizon Europe structure, how the finance is structured. But we will mostly talk about the Pillar 2 cluster funding programs. So as you can see, there are 6 different clusters. So we are going to talk about these ones and how to build partnerships for these clusters to tackle the global challenges and European industrial competitiveness. And also I will talk a little bit about the widening participation, which you can see here below, and what kind of partnerships can we expect there. The partner organizations for a consortium, which is the group of organizations that participate in a European project, they can be any legal institution, actually. That are the current rules of the European Commission. But mainly this translates to industry organizations, usually small and medium organizations with less than 50 million euros turnover, research organizations and universities, as ourselves, most of us are from universities, but also public service bodies, both local, regional, national, and international, can take part. And civil society organizations, including foundations and NGOs, are becoming increasingly important for project applications. So the evaluators, when they see the project applications, they look at what kind of organizations are included. And very often, including civil society organization, it's a plus, because it means that you are going to get into contact with the citizens through these civil society organizations. And you can do participative and collaborative approaches with the citizens, which is really one of the key objectives of the project nowadays. How do you start building a competent consortium? First of all, when we have a call, of course, we read it really carefully and see what are the requirements and recommendations for the consortium. Often in the call requirements, they ask for comparative focus, or they ask for participation from Eastern European countries, or any kind of recommendations. Sometimes they ask for larger consortiums, sometimes for smaller partnerships. So many of these requirements and recommendations are there in the call, sometimes written directly and sometimes written indirectly. But when it comes to the basic rules, there must be a minimum of 3 partners, 3 partner organizations. And these must be from 3 different countries, not 2 from the same country, but you have to have 3, a minimum of 3 from 3 different countries. And sometimes it's worth keeping the consortium controlled, keep it very small, especially when you are starting with the European project, because small consortiums are so much easier to handle, they are more flexible and more operative. Then also it is interesting to see the grant quantity, how much money is there on the table and how is it going to be divided and split between the partners. As a thumb rule, but this is a very, very thumb rule, but normally you should see that there would be like 250,000 or 300,000 euros per partner in many of these Horizon Europe calls. But of course it depends, and of course it depends on the role of the partner. So sometimes we have a partner who has a very specific particular role in the project, and we have less finance because of that. Of course, it is important to invite only trustworthy organizations you are confident with. Organizations you have previously worked with, you have heard of somebody has recommended. And it is important to build or join experienced networks. So there are at least one partner that has been or has a long experience in proposal writing, because it is very, very difficult, not to say impossible, to get finance for a project when you apply for the first time and when you don't have previous experience. I am telling this because we were 3 years before we started with the first European project. We were 3 years applying and writing and never got there. But then finally, when you get there, you find the right partners and the right experience in the team, then it starts rolling on its own. And one call calls the other one. So it gets a lot easier afterwards. Geographical representation among the partners is interesting, north, south, east, and west. It is very interesting to include the southern partners as our countries, Portugal, Spain, and it is also interesting to include more peripheral countries, Eastern European countries, which is very often seen as a positive point when evaluating proposals. It is key to see if there is potential for comparative studies, no? To compare how is the situation, like for example, green transition in North, East, and Southern countries or Western countries. So sometimes to build a partnership between France, Belgium, and Germany is not the best idea, because in some terms of economical advancement, etc., they are very much in the same level. So it's interesting to have a wide geographical representation. And also if there is potential for twinning actions where both parts or all the parts take benefits of the project. You can invite associated countries and third countries, which are the non-European Union countries, to the partnerships. And normally they have the same rights as the European Union partner countries. So let's have a look at these ones. There are 4 different categories or types of countries that are eligible for association with the Horizon Europe program. So you can invite them to become part of the partnerships, and these countries, they will have full rights. They work as your own organizations, equal terms. associated countries mean that there is some kind of economical or commercial or other kind of agreement between countries. So EFTA countries can become part of the partnerships, so can the European Economic Area countries and the European Neighborhood Policy, ENP countries, they can become. And also acceding countries or those that are candidates to become European partners. No, Ukraine is nowadays, due to the conflict situation and due to being an acceding country, potential partner for projects, though doing research right at the moment is very complex in the country. But also third countries, which are none of these three previous categories, they can become. If they fulfill a set of criteria in terms of their economical, political, and research and innovation situation, so they can also become partners. When it comes to associated countries, these countries that have some kind of agreement with the European Union, here you have the list of the associated countries that can become members. As you can see, most of them are European countries, but you have also countries like New Zealand, Turkey, Tunisia, and of course, United Kingdom is part of this list as well. Then another situation are the widening countries. You remember in the first screen, I showed you the Horizon Europe funding program, and below you saw the widening countries, finance for widening countries programs. Under Horizon Europe, there is a list of EU member states. So we are talking about European Union countries that are seen as widening countries because of a bit lower research and innovation performance in the country. So therefore, there is a special finance system for projects for these countries. And normally, when you apply a widening finance for a project, it means that the widening country, a country of this list, will be the leading partner, the coordinating partner. And sometimes finding finance through this system can be easier than through the cluster system, though these countries can be in the cluster system as well. I hope you understand here the difference. So, like for example, we had recently a project with Bulgaria, led by the Bulgarian partner. Multidisciplinary and sectorial flow focus is, of course, a plus for a European project proposal, as it is in most of the research nowadays. It is very fruitful to have diverse people from diverse disciplines, so you approach the challenge from different angles. It is interesting also to blend research-oriented organization and action-oriented organizations, and also end-user organizations. So therefore, the role of NGOs and other civil society organizations is really interesting, because sometimes what happens when you only work with research organizations or only work with universities, so you get too academic approach. The approach can be too theoretical, too academical, and you need also action-oriented approach, especially for the innovation part of the project. It is also quite a good idea to blend private and public sector organizations, and of course, as I mentioned before, collaborate with civil society organizations and get in touch with the citizens, because we are doing science nowadays for the citizens and with the citizens, so they must be included. When it comes to diversity, equality, diversity and inclusion, the concept of EDI is becoming key for project applications and project work in general, as are the aspects related to RRI, responsible research and innovation. these are mentioned in many project proposals. So if there is a requirement for RRI application or EDI, pay attention and read more about these two concepts and include them. Grosso modo, this means that we need to have gender balanced teams and we need to have female leaders. So when you do the application, check who are going to be the country leaders of the project and see that there is a gender balance. We have an equal number of men and women. And also gender equality is important because only organizations that have a gender equality plan can take part in a European project. So if your organizations doesn't have a gender equality plan or hasn't got it in process, they can't become part of a European project. Also, it is interesting to cherish diversity in a broad sense, cultural, ethnic, religious, different diverse cultural groups, to have a representation in the project, and including also disabled persons. And early career researchers, young researchers, because this is one of the aims of the European Commission, to provide possibilities for diverse of persons with different kinds of diversity, and especially for young researchers to have opportunities and also to find a gender balance, gender equality in the projects. When we talk about responsible research and innovation, RRI frame project, you have to remember that it's not only about having an equal number of men and women. It means that we need to have a gender balanced leadership. So leaders of different teams must have a balance. Half of them have to be women. And women need to have a role in decision making and access to resources. So it's not only that you include a sufficient number of women in a team. They have to be able to decide. There are 3 basic strategies for finding partners. We can use the direct approach. So you just contact directly with partners you have identified. Maybe you have find a research institute in Switzerland that excels in one particular field. Then you have an ex-partner from another project. So you go directly and you suggest them to become part of the consortium. You can ask them to sign a letter of intention or letter of support to become part of the partnership. Also, you have the visibility approach, which you use very often. This works a bit like the romantic matchmaking platforms where you find partners for your romantic life. So you make yourself visible, you use different tools, you use platforms, social networks, and brokerage events to meet people who are interested to presenting proposal in the same cluster, in the same kind of issues. So you put yourself into position to be elected for partnership. And then finally, you have the notoriety approach. This is for organizations and teams that boast of an outstanding expertise in a specific field. So these kind of organizations are invited to many project teams, to many project consortiums to participate in a proposal, and they are very selective. So they normally select with whom they go, and when they go, and what kind of projects are these. As one of my colleagues said some time ago, Juan, he's here in the conference today. Also, it is a good idea to become an evaluator of Horizon Europe, because you get a lot of contacts, you learn a lot, and it makes also your organization more eligible for proposals. And where to go? Where do you find these partners? I will talk about, and I will show you some places where you can go. Of course, previous successful partners are interesting, and often the core team of one project, it becomes the core team at least partial of a new project. So if you had success with the team in one project, so go ahead and do it again. Find some new partners, change a little bit, but it is usually a very good idea. Then you have the European Commission funding and tender opportunities portal. There are other European organizations platforms such as Up to Europe, and you have progress events, and also Cordis database. I will start talking a little bit about Cordis. In Cordis, this is a very useful resource, whether you look for partners, whether you look for organizations that have worked in different clusters, in different finance programs, or if you look at current partnerships that are working in similar areas in which you are working currently, or in which you will present a proposal, because that's where all the projects are. You go to the website, to this platform or database, and you can seek the organizations, you can seek by the name of the project, you can seek by the subject, and this is where you will find all the current and past projects. As I said, also the funding and tender opportunities portal is useful. It is part of the European Commission platform, and there you can look for partners for a particular program. So as you can see up there, you can select a program or topic in which you would like to make the proposal, and then you seek location. For example, you want a partner from Italy, Spain, or Portugal, you put it there, and put the type of organization, and it will give you a list of organizations that might be interested. I also mentioned Up to Europe, which is this platform. It's the first network for stakeholders in European project. And here also project partnerships, consortium partnership initiatives, they advertise themselves, and they say what kind of project are they planning to do and what kind of partners are they looking for. Or if you want to offer yourself as a partner to a proposal, you can advertise as well. So this is an interesting platform. Then in most of the countries, you have a national contact point of the European Commission. We have it in Spain, and I assume you have in Portugal also. And the national contact point is like the link between the organizations that do research and the European Commissions. And then they give info days, they give information about the different programs to finance European projects. And they do also brokerage events. Brokerage events, they are events where different organizations and different entities who are interested in doing a project proposal, they get into contact with other organizations that are interested in similar topics. And normally the brokerage events, they are organized around a theme, around a cluster, but they can be generic. And these are big events normally with a lot of people, and you need to go really focused, have a plan, have a seed idea to present. Otherwise, it is not so fruitful. It can be overwhelming because there can be a lot of people there. Also, European Commission, among the many resources they offer, we have the European Commission Research and Innovation Community Platform. So as you can see, they have different conferences and seminars, which will help also to build partnerships and learn more about European projects. Then some other organizations, both part of the European Commission, but also private research organizations, they organize this kind of brokerage events. Recently, for example, we were invited to a progress event organized by a Sicilian research institute called CESI, and they organized a big progress event to bring to the table different seed ideas and build partnerships for projects. Okay, so some practical tips after this brief information about European projects. So first of all, include partners, at least some of the partners that have experience in previous European projects. That is key, because they will tell so many practical aspects and rules and regulations, and even the language you are expected to use in the project application. Include proven partners and build strong core teams. At least have 3-4 partners that are bulletproof, that are going to work well. When you invite new partners, it's very good to listen to the recommendation of these solid partners. They have worked with them in other occasions. And of course, inviting diverse type of partner organization is interesting, as I mentioned before. And there is one thing that we have learned by the experience, that it is difficult, but maybe it is a good idea to discard partners that have lacked collaboration or attitude in the application phase. For example, if you organize the first meeting to start planning the proposal, you are all excited and you think, wow, we really love this idea, we're going to work, and you have invited 7 organizations. Of these 7 organizations, maybe one comes very late, couldn't come, couldn't send anybody. And then they have this first task maybe, which is just to give the corporate information, the partner information. And you have a special date for that, and they don't provide the information. So you think, well, it's okay, they're going to work properly a bit later. But maybe what happens that they never do it in time. So if you have this kind of signs in the project application phase, these might persist during the whole lapse of the project. So be careful, and maybe it is the time to say, well, thank you, but it's not a good idea to include. Quality of partners is more important than quantity. And how to answer the topic's objectives and bring to the table skills and expertise of different fields. Of course, we all of here, I think most of you have been or are currently engaged in a European project. So then we know the personal chemistry between people really works. How you feel about the team, what is the work climate, and how responsible the different persons that are engaged in the project are. So these are also elements that we shouldn't disregard. Take them into consideration, because you're going to work for 3 years, normally very intensively around a subject, around a topic, and it really needs a special chemistry, this social glue between persons to work properly. Okay, so now I would mention some basic concepts of the consortium structure, the roles of the partners, and workflows. This is especially for those who have not been engaged in many European projects, are starting, or have no previous experience. So I just excuse me if I repeat some things for those that are more expert in European projects. As we have said before, the team that gets together to build the team for the project proposal and to carrying out it, it's called the consortium. And as you can see here in the middle, the consortium is formed by the project coordinator, which is one country, one organization, and it normally falls on one person. And then you have the partner organization. But above the project coordination and the consortium, there is the European Commission project officer, which is the officer that is between you and the Commission, who deals with the practical issues, with the evaluations, and so forth, between your consortium, your project, and the European Commission. And then you have the project evaluators. I think STEP has been recently very successfully evaluated. So all the projects, they have midterm evaluation, halfway the project, and then they have the final evaluation. And these evaluations are important because independent evaluators evaluate how the project is succeeding, how they are doing, how they respect the budget, and how they get the outcomes and the results. And if everything isn't fixed and properly done, you will not get the finance. So it is also economically binding. If you see the scheme on the left, this is how the workflow goes in a European project. When you get the finance, when you get the grant, it is called grant, the money you get to start the European project. When you get the grant, you sign a grant agreement, and also all the members of all the partners, they sign consortium agreements. And the grant agreement, GA, it's like the project Bible. There are all the regulations. There is the proposal you have written. There is the explanation of the objectives, milestones, deliverables, and all the practical aspects. And the budget is there. So whenever you have a doubt, go to the grant agreement. It is all there. A project starts with a kickoff meeting in one of the partner countries, normally in the coordinator countries, and the work is carried out in work packages, different work packages. And they have the quality controls, all these work packages. On the right-hand side, you can see examples of the typical work packages of a European project. You always have a management or a coordinating work package. These might have different names. You have another work package for the ethics. You will have an work package for the intellectual property rights also, which is not written here, but you will have communication, dissemination, and outreach work package, and then you can have several other methodology, EDI, and so forth. Okay, so back to the schedule. For the workflow, we were here, we were seeing these work packages. The work package results, they are written in deliverables. So the reports we write in a project, they are called deliverables. So they will put the objectives, we put the task outcomes, and we include also the processes to come to reach the objectives. Of course, as in any other project, we have deadlines and milestones. Milestones are the big goals that you are expected or you are supposed to have reached by certain dates. So it is a big objective you are to reach by certain dates. Then you have, as I mentioned, the reviews, the midterm review, and you write for this review session a report which is called interim report. So this is something you do. You do a presentation in the review in front of the project evaluators and the project officer, but the project officer, it's not, he or she is not going to evaluate, it's the project evaluators who do the evaluation. But apart from the presentations and answering questions, you also write a report. And then when the project finishes, you do the final review, final report. So this is very briefly how the European projects work. What is the coordinator's role? The coordinator is the central hub of the project. So they provide the leadership, they provide the management, and they ensure that all the obligations of the grant agreement are fulfilled. They oversee the progress in the project, and also they ensure that we are meeting with the objectives and guidelines that we have established in the grant agreement. And also the coordinator is the person or the team who is acting as a link between the consortium partners and the European Commission. So they deal with a lot of administrative issues, and also they are expected to assure a seamless communication with the European Commission. The partner's role is not less important, because all partners are legally responsible for the expenses that will be incurred and all the actions that are carried out. So they are responsible for the work packages, for the corresponding work packages. Each work package has one organization that is responsible for it, and each deliverable has one responsible for completing it. So, of course, all the partners collaborate, or several partners collaborate, but one is legally responsible. The partners are co-responsible for the project outcomes, for the dissemination, and for the outreach, especially in the partner countries, but also globally. And they report to the project coordinator, but also to the Commission. When you have these interim, when you make these interim reports, or when you have these partial revisions of the European Commission, you have to provide also the economical reports as part of the work. And if something is not functioning in these economical parts, so the Commission is directly demanding the partner in question to provide the lacking information. Okay, so let's talk to finish with, so we will have time for questions. Let's talk about a little bit good practices, different leadership styles, and other challenges that there are around European projects. Good practices: timely, transparent, and true research and innovation practice are the three key elements for me. When you deliver the reports in a timely manner, you will avoid chain delays. Chain delays are maybe the worst kind of delays you can expect, because in many projects, and here the European projects are not an exception, if you have delay in one task, that will cause delay in the following task. And if you have to hand out a deliverable by X date and you get a delay of 1 month, it will delay the following deliverables also, because they build on the top of the previous phase. So the tasks are interrelated, but they construct, they go upwards. And if there is delay in one, you will have chain delays. And these chain delays are very difficult to explain to the Commission. They are very strict with the deadlines. So of course, if there is 1 or 2 days of delay, that is not serious, but 2 weeks might be serious in some cases. And of course, what can happen when you're finishing the project, of course, you have a lot of deliverables, a lot of stress to finish the project. It's the 3rd year, and you are nearly there, but you have a couple of months more to go. So if you have a delay there, please keep in mind that you will not get finance if you have a delay after the 3rd year. So if you ask for extra time to prepare the deliverables, for example, you ask for 3-4 months more, so okay, you can do the work. But if you have hired people to do the tasks, you can't pay them any longer. You don't get paid either. So it is work for free. So this is really, really serious, this timely task accomplishment. Also, transparency is important in European projects, sharing proceedings, not only results, adhering to the grant agreement rules and workflow description. Even if you would like to it is not a good idea to change research methodology, change workflows, change work packages in the middle of the project. You should have a special permission for this, and it is not easy. Truthful reporting and research integrity, I think this is very clear to all the participants here. And also respecting ethics and quality control regulation. Most of the projects, they have their quality control regulation deliverable or a report, which they follow to make sure that all the tasks and all the deliverables have enough quality. And then, of course, leadership plays a role in European projects. It plays a role in all the projects. And maybe it is not so important in the first phase when you do the application, because this is quite mechanic, you do writing, but you start to notice there. Also in this proposal phase, how the coordinating partner is acting and how the leaders of the different national teams are working. But the right leadership style, the style that makes a difference, that helps the project to have better outcomes, it becomes key as soon as the project starts. So maybe in the application phase, it's less important, but when you start, it's really becomes key. The leadership styles are related to our emotional intelligence. I'm not going to talk about dozens of researchers, but I will mention just a few. David McClelland found that the leaders that have a high competence in more emotional intelligence competencies, in a minimum of 6 of emotional intelligence competencies, were much more effective than others. Others that maybe were competent only in 2 or 3 emotional intelligence competencies. Fountain and Jacobs, they found that different leadership styles, the way you lead the teams, can have a measurable effect on work climate. So, well, this is interesting because having emotional intelligence, being more emotionally intelligent makes you more effective. It has an effect on the work climate. But what is more important even is that there is a direct correlation between the work climate and the economic performance, the revenue growth, the profitability of the project or of the enterprise. So emotional intelligence and leadership styles, the right leadership styles, they become a key element of the project success. And I think we all have had experience, both very positive experience and the negative experience of different kinds of leadership. I have to admit that I've been amazingly lucky in the project with the leadership issues. I've always, I think, had really good leaders. So nowadays, when we talk about leadership, you can see here on the right, there are 6 different styles. We're going to talk a little bit about them, but would like you to bear in mind that today what is working best, it's the so-called flexible leadership. It doesn't mean that you are always doing one kind of leadership style, for example, democratic leadership style. It means that you are flexible. So with different persons, you use a different leadership style. Even in one day, you can use several leadership styles. Or during the different phases of the project, you use a different leadership style. So let's go through very quickly, and then we will see them in more detail. First of all, we have here in blue, we have the visionary leadership style, which is generally, I would say, the best, the most efficient leadership style. The message here is come with me to the team. Walk with me the walk. Then we have the coaching leadership style. Here the message would be to the followers, try this, let's do this together, let me help you. The affiliative leadership style is very supportive. So here the people come first, and the relationship, the positive atmosphere and the positive relationship comes first. Then we have the commanding leadership style, which is here in red. This is the one that gets the worst results ever. This is the master and commander style. Do what I tell you and don't question it. I am the boss here, so you are expected to do what I tell you. Then we have a democratic leadership style. So here we ask, what do you think? We want the opinions of everybody. And finally, we have the pace-setting leadership style, which means that you give example by your own behavior. So here the message would be, do as I do. Follow me, do the same way I do. So having a quick look here, how do these work? What's their resonance? And when should they be used? Visionary leadership style, it moves people towards a shared vision, shared objectives and dreams. So here the leader values the whole team. He gives them liberty, freedom, but he also guides them towards the right goal. And he shares the vision with the team. He makes it the shared vision, not only his vision or the vision or objectives of the project, but the team's vision. This is very extremely positive to the on the work climate, and this works really well, especially when you are starting a project. Energetic, positive, with a clear vision, fostering participation and relationships within a project. But it also works when you need a change, when you make big changes in the project, or when you need better steering of an initiative. Right. So I would say if you have doubts what kind of leadership style to use the visionary, it always works. But you need to use other styles when the project advances. For example, if there is somebody who is a bit lost and doesn't really know what is my role in the project, what I'm doing here, and maybe lacking some knowledge or skills. So here the best leadership style would be coaching. It's very positive and it links what the person needs or wants, the personal objective with the project or the team's objectives. And it makes the persons to contribute better to the team. You give them training, you talk with them. People, you help them, you assist, you make them to see how they are important in the project. This is quite often needed with the junior members, but of course with senior members also it happens. Then we have the affiliate leadership style. This is necessary always in a project because you need to have a positive emotion, a positive relationship with the team members. But it is especially needed when there are disagreements or quarrels or conflict in the team. It connects the team with each other, and it's got a very positive effect on the work climate. And it requires some time outside the work time. So you have to get to know the people, go for a beer or go for a coffee, talk, understand, connect people who maybe had a discussion and so forth. And this is needed in any particular phase when required in a project. The fourth style is called democratic, and there we value the contribution of others through participation. So it engages all the team members. We want to know the opinion and inputs of the whole team and all the members. Sometimes when you are starting in a project or you're very junior, young, you are afraid of telling your ideas, but please don't be. Tell your ideas, share your ideas, because some of the best ideas, come from the youngest participants. They are fresh, they have new innovative ideas. But so this values the whole team and takes their opinion into consideration. This is very good also in the starting phase of the project, when you get to know each other, when you need ideas. For example, when you do the pre-proposal, you need inputs from all the members. What is the problem with this leadership style? That if you use democratic leadership style and especially democratic decision making in all the phases of the project, it may delay things. So sometimes if you have a difficult situation or a crisis situation, you might need a commanding leadership style. But let's see first the pace setting leadership style. This is the style where you give an example. So you don't explain many things to the team because you don't need to. You just set the goals and you start to work. You give the example by your own work, working long hours, doing things really with high quality results, etc. Well, what happens here? That it can be totally negative for the work climate if not adequately applied, because it can be too overwhelming. If you work in a top team, very motivated, a very competent team where all the participants, they have the same level of knowledge and engagement, it works. But if not, it can be overwhelming for part of the participants who feel that they don't know how to do it and they lag behind the others all the time because the front runners are going quick. They are so smart, so amazing. So what I'm doing here, and you start, getting apart from the project because you don't know how to react. So here we would need coaching. Here we would need affiliate style, and we would need a clear vision. So careful with this style also, because when you first think about it, it sounds like an excellent idea. I'm going to be brilliant. I'm going to do this and that and be an example for the others, but it doesn't work like that. And if you're not such a good example, then also it works really bad. And then we have the commanding style, which I said can be and is the most negative leadership style in most of the situations, because it demands you to obey. So it kills creativity, it kills innovation, and it kills the work climate. But it works when there is a crisis situation or a critical change. Because imagine there is an airplane that's going to crash. So of course you can't use democratic decision making and leadership style here. Here it is the chain of command, like in the military forces. And to finish with, we have 4 minutes to go, so I'm going to be really quick with this. Communication in conflict situation. Of course, in all the projects, we will have conflict situations, and conflict is normal. Disagreements are normal. And it doesn't mean it's not synonymous with problems. These situations reveal how good we are as leaders and the relationship we have with those who disagree. So who disagrees is not an enemy. He's somebody, or she's somebody who's got a different opinion. So we should approach conflict as an opportunity. But of course, we are humans, and we have 2 common causes of action in these conflict situations. Sometimes we use the inhibited or passive style. We are kind of afraid of the situation. It's too overwhelming, so we don't say anything about the behaviors that bother us. We feel angry with ourselves because we didn't say this is disturbing, this bothers me. Or we deal with the situation in a roundabout way, not addressing directly the issue that bothered us. Or sometimes we see leaders that use aggressive or bullying style, demanding style, where they demand immediate changes and order. and sometimes even using sarcasm, intimidation, losing one's temper, getting angry, screaming, or appealing to psychological or physical violence in public, in front of other people, and wah, 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 this kind of bullying behavior. But actually, being inhibited or aggressive, there are two sides of the same coin. Because who is in control there is not the leader, it's not the person. The situation controls totally. You're out of control. And also, it is a question of low self-esteem, both in the case of the inhibited communication style or the aggressive communication style. And also it means that both persons have some interpersonal conflicts. So what is here the solution? The solution, which is easier to say than put in practice in some situation, but the solution is the assertive communication style. It means that you are able to say directly what you think, what you need, what you want, without hurting or humiliating others, or without feeling ashamed or embarrassed by it. So you say what you need or what you think or what you want without hurting the others. It helps the individual, it helps us to realize our individual goals, but we don't sacrifice our future relationships. So it's okay, we say it, we don't hurt anybody, it's no offense taken, so the relationships with others can keep being fluid. So it means that you can clearly, concisely express what you want and what you need while being respectful with the others. And to finish with a part of the leadership challenges, we can have some other challenges in the partnership. The paperwork and bureaucracy, no more words here, we all know about that. But partners can have different levels of experience or learning processes. We have different working systems in different kinds of organizations. So university with its bureaucracy works totally different than a small enterprise or an NGO. We can even have some diversity-driven difficulties like gender equality in work teams, democratic decision-making, maybe religious holidays we don't always remember that are different. And then finally, as we have unfortunately learned in the past years, we have global health issues that are totally unexpected or were totally unexpected. But we can have natural disasters that can have an impact on our project, or we can have geopolitical conflicts. So there are other challenges for a partnership, but from the ones that I mentioned before. Here you have my contact. If you want to write to me, ask me. So please feel free to write with any further questions. So